Welcome to today's live. My name is Anastasia, if you're new here for some reason. And if you're new, welcome. If you enjoy my work, you like my work, you probably know that I am doing these lives every Monday. The goal of the live is to offer astrological guidance, to soothe your hearts, to help relieve some anxiety or stress or tension that you're feeling about certain transits, to discuss your natal chart, any questions you might have about your natal chart, about the transits coming up, love, relationships, money. I am here to answer. If you're just joining, let me know where you're coming from. Please press that like button. That really helps YouTube show this live to more people, helps bring more people to our hour together, 2 hours together. So the way this works is I am offering donation-based readings. Suggested amount is $35 and answering your questions. One question per person. Basically, we can look at your natal chart. We can look at your transits, whatever is coming up for you. Even if you have brief questions about relationships, happy to look at that. So if you have a question, if you're looking for guidance, use the links provided in the description down below or in the pinned comment that I just put in the chat. Once you send the donation, I will need your date, time, place of birth. And thank you so much for pressing the like because it helps. It shows this live to more people. So keep pressing that like button. And then your birthday information, date, time, place, and your question. As mentioned, one question primarily at a time because these are shorter readings. If you're looking for more personal guidance, more of a conversation, longer, more in-depth analysis, you can visit anastasiadoesastrology.com and discuss and see all the options I have on there. You have two options, right? Once you decide to get a reading, you can either share your information publicly in the chat and allow me to share your chart publicly as well, or you can keep your information private and then you would email your date, time, place of birth and your question to my email, anastasia.does.astrology@gmail.com, and specify in there that you want your chart to be kept private. Hi, Yolette from Florida. Good to see you. King Capricornio. Hello, hello. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know how you're doing. How has May been treating you? We've had this Mars-Jupiter square in the beginning of May, which I think could have created a lot of sort of friction and maybe a tendency to move really fast and like rush into things. Let me see if I can share my screen and show it to you while we're waiting. The list is open, so if you wanted to get on the list, you are welcome to jump on. So Mars is currently separating from a square to Jupiter. Here's Mars at 24 degrees, 32 minutes of Aries. Jupiter is at 20 degrees, 31 minutes of Cancer. The two squared on May 4th. And usually with Mars, the transit lasts about 4 days before, 4 days after. So there is this, there's definitely the sense of this energy lingering and building up earlier. This week is quite interesting. We have a few planets changing signs this week. We're going to have Mercury speed through the rest of Taurus, enter Gemini. We're going to have Venus enter Cancer actually on Monday, and Mars will enter Taurus on Monday as well. So we're moving into a brand new territory, brand new world with all of these transits. Finally, some of the Aries stress will lift off, which I think is exciting because we've had a lot of planets in Aries, and having Neptune and Saturn there could have created an uncertainty. So if you're just joining, I am doing birth chart readings, mini readings to answer your questions. Questions can relate to your chart in general, your natal chart. You can ask me what your perfect partner might look like, where you might meet them. You can ask me about your career. What does your chart say the ideal career for you is? We can talk about transits coming up, what's ahead for you, right? How can you work with the energy presently to maximize it and to take advantage of the positive transits as well as potentially avoid the downsides? The way to join my list and get a reading is to send a donation. Suggested amount is $35 by using the link provided in the description or in the pinned comment. The list is currently open, so if you would like, you'd be really early on and your question will get answered pretty quickly. So once you send the donation, I will need your date, time, place of birth, and the question. And you can either share it in the chat. You can also ask me sort of more general questions that do not require pulling up your chart. Once you send the donation, either share it in the chat or you can also send it via email, either info@anastasia.astrology.com or anastasia.does.astrology@gmail.com, whatever is easier to remember. And let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see where people are tuning in. Yolette is watching from Florida, but I'm curious, anyone else who may be in different parts of the world? I am located in New York City, and it's 5 in the evening here. It's still really bright all around. So ask me questions, take advantage of me being live, share your stories. Are you enjoying Venus and Gemini? Are you enjoying the chatty, flirty, a little detached, romantic energy? Are you attracting people who are maybe chatty, flirty, youthful, Gemini-like? Venus in Gemini, and Mercury is about to go into Gemini, and Uranus is in Gemini, and the Sun is going to be in Gemini. We're sort of entering this period of rapid developments, right? Rapid developments in technology, rapid relationship developments, meeting people, getting excited about people, connecting suddenly. Especially this weekend will be quite interesting with Mercury entering Gemini and conjoining Uranus. You may notice that your mind is on fire and there's a lot going on around you and internally. So the list is open. I am just chilling as of right now, waiting for our volunteer. So ask me questions, join the list, and we can dive in and look at people's charts. I was thinking of someone. Oh, it's interesting because we are approaching. So in June, July, there will be this interesting transit that begins, right? We're going to have Jupiter leave Cancer. It's been in Cancer for about a year. Jupiter is going to go into Leo, which is a big shift. And then mere days later, not even a month later, we're going to have South Node enter Leo and North Node enter Aquarius, which is a similar period to 2008, 2009. And so it's going to be this sort of mix up of Leo Aquarius energy, a lot of rethinking of our Leo characters and Leo portions of our chart. And so that's definitely something in terms of the energy shifting. If you wanted to know what exactly this means for you, this could be something to ask me if you wanted to get a reading on that. Hi, Queen 1136. Where are you watching from? Yeah, say hello if you're just joining. Let me know where you're watching from. How are you doing with May astrology, May energy in general? And yes, please keep pressing that like button. It really, really helps. I have just started this live, so it tends to, sometimes it sort of is like a slower start, slower build. So you pressing the like button really helps and lets YouTube know to show this to more people. 5 p.m. Eastern might be still quite early for some other parts of the US, so people might still be working. But if you're in Europe, then it's probably pretty later in the evening for you. We're also going to have, this week we have Mercury Cazimi on, when is Mercury Cazimi? Has anyone noticed this weekend any positive developments as the Sun sextile Jupiter? this energy is still in effect, and then Mercury is going to sextile Jupiter on the 13th, which is this Wednesday. And then we get a Cazimi on Thursday, the 14th of May. And Mercury Cazimi tends to be a really insightful, eye-opening period. So I am, just to remind you, I am waiting for volunteers, hanging out with you guys. You can ask me questions. I am doing readings. These are donation-based. Suggested amount is $35. You can ask me anything and everything. You can ask me about your natal chart, how do people perceive you? What is the best source of money for you? What's going on with your finances right now, when things might improve, right? You can ask me about your love life. You can ask me about your health, career, education, even mental health. If there is something that's bothering you, we can look at that. We can talk about karmic purpose. We can talk about your soul's purpose in this lifetime. I can also just tell you what is unique about your chart and what I think is your superpower, what can be useful for you in the long term. And then if you're looking at, sort of transits and what's happening presently and progressed charts, there's a lot of sort of possibilities to look at the energy right now. Christiana Costa saying, do I give you my chart info to see if I might get a job soon? Yes, you can. We can definitely look at that. I can pull a horary chart up to see if there is a job coming your way and when it might happen. So the way to do that, I ask for a donation. Suggested amount is $35. There's a link either down below or in the pinned comment there. And then once you send the donation, I will need your date, time, place of birth, and the question. And the question you shared, if it's literally about, will I get a job soon? I potentially don't even need your birthday information because I might just do a horary. And horary is a really fun branch of astrology that is kind of outcome focused. It's very much about a single specific question. If you want to know, is there a future for this relationship? Will I get a job soon? Will I like this job? Horary astrology looks at the chart of the moment, at where the planets are placed. And basically, it's like reading the sky to answer the question. So we can definitely do that. And let me know where you guys are watching from. Say hello. Share your rising sign, share your thoughts, feelings. It is nice to see. It is nice to see people here. Sometimes we have repeat clients, repeat friends coming back around. So Christiana, let me know if you'd like to get us started today. If you also have general questions about your placements while I am waiting to get started, you can also do that. And as far as donations and the payments are concerned, I do ask that you please use the link that I provided. There are a few options there. There's PayPal and Venmo and Cash App, and those are primarily the options I'm using. So I would prefer that you use those, because there's also a way to pay through YouTube, which works if all options fail. But ideally using those links is sort of more straightforward versus otherwise. And the range of questions, really big. If there is something on your mind, something you're concerned about, something that you're interested in, we can definitely talk about that. We can talk about the upcoming transits and the energy that we're in. It's a good time to look at your chart because of that, because of the Mercury Jupiter sextile. There's actually higher likelihood of getting insights from it because of that sort of empowered, optimistic, opportune transit of Mercury and Jupiter. King Capricornio says, my rising sign is the one that likes to see profile pictures like Queen. And then, is that a little owl? Owl? What is that? I don't know if I fully understand what that's supposed to mean. Queen says, if my Libra rising is at 29 degrees, is Scorpio prevalent? Only if you have a lot of planets in Scorpio. I use whole sign house system. And in whole sign house system, which is a more traditional older house system, no matter whether your rising sign is at 0 degrees, 10 degrees, 29 degrees, all of Libra will be your first house. And so I would consider Libra as your rising sign. Okay, Christiana says, sent, but give me a second to go to a quiet place. Sure, take your time. And I see, Christian, not Christiana. I guess it's Christian A. So thank you so much for the donation. I am going to add you to my list and we will take a look. One other thing to note as you're watching, if you are being shown a commercial, please make sure to hit the refresh updated, because sometimes the commercial sort of sets you back and then we get delayed, and then I might be asking you things and you may be not hearing me. So Christian first, Christian, I do have your birthday information, and the question is about work, right? If you wanted to specify. Also, is it okay to share your chart? Would you rather it stay private? Let me know. I am currently burning one of my candles that I made. It's lunar Jupiter, and it smells like pancakes. And so my space very much smells like somebody made the most delicious pancakes. It's this candle captures Jupiter in its sign of exaltation together with the moon in rulership. And I like to light it up for optimism and for manifestation, and it's supposed to increase opportunities and promise more foresight and wisdom. So if you wanted to pick one up while I still have them, we're not going to have Jupiter in Cancer for much longer, so they will eventually disappear. Okay, so King Capricornia says that's why she's gorgeous. She's a Libra rising. Aw, that is sweet. We appreciate Libra risings, the kindness. Okay, so Christian says keep your chart private. And so the question is, you're saying if you might get a job soon, right? So let me just look. I'll look at your transits, and I can pull a Horary chart as well. Horary I'll probably share just because it doesn't have any of your information. It really is just the picture of the sky right now. You're saying, yes, I want to know if I'll get a job interview or a job this month, maybe even June. I know the 30th of May, Mercury trines my midheaven. Okay, let us see. Yeah, I'm going to start with your chart and transits, and I'm not going to share that just because you asked to keep it private, which is always the option. Take advantage of it. If you're watching and you'd like to get a reading, I ask for a donation. Suggested amount is $35. There's a link down in the comments and in the pinned comment in the chat. Once you send it, I will need your date, time, place of birth, and your question. And you can either keep your information private by emailing me at anastasia.does.astrology@gmail.com and specifying, please keep my info private, or you can just put it in the chat if you're okay with it being public and allow me to share. Okay, so Christian says, I want to know if I get a job interview or a job this month, maybe even June. I know the 30th of May, Mercury trines my midheaven. And please keep pressing the like on this live if you don't mind, because that helps put it in front of more people and can generally be really encouraging of progress and stuff. Yeah, could be very helpful. Okay, so looking at Christian's transits. Let's specifically look at the next couple of months. So Jupiter is conjoining your moon right now, and Saturn is trining your sun. Saturn is trining your sun from the 4th house. That's not necessarily about career, but it could be a sign of. I really like Jupiter on the moon. I think that's a sign that there's currently really benevolent relationships in your life, and your energy is contagious and other people sort of see you, and it could be a great time to step out of your comfort zone on some level and ask people for advice. And if you're looking for work, just maximize the fact that there is really good sort of networking energy right now, and partnerships, and people being on your team, people being on your side. You're saying Mercury will trine your midheaven. Yeah, so okay. So let me just a second. So you're born in 93. That makes you 32. 30, 31, 32. You are in a Mercury ruled year. So thinking of Mercury makes sense. I do agree that Mercury trine midheaven could be beneficial. We also have Venus trining your midheaven on May 17th. Mercury, where is Mercury? Mercury is trining your midheaven on May 31st. There's also going to be a full moon around that time in your 12th house, which could be symbolic of maybe completing some chapters, right? Because as the full moon in the 12th house comes right before the full moon in the 1st house in June, there could be a sense that you're like closing chapters and welcoming new ones. And what I like the most, I think, professionally, is the fact that Jupiter will be trining your Venus in late June. But that kind of begins, Jupiter trines your Mercury on May 29th. So not only Mercury in Gemini will trine your Libra midheaven, but also Jupiter in Cancer will trine your Mercury in Scorpio and your Pluto. And so again, it's like your Mercury and your Pluto and your Venus all through late May until late June. They are in Scorpio, so they already suggest, like Scorpio in 11th house, and they already suggest that there is that your job is somehow connected to your network and who you know and the impact your work can have on other people. And you're born also with this Jupiter in its house joy in your 11th house. Jupiter is really happy in the 11th house because it gives a person access to a larger community and kind of gives you larger audience, I think. Good to see you, Queen. Thank you for saying hello and for stopping by. So, okay. So I like all of those. I think late May, early June could be really, really nice. Venus is the ruler of the midheaven. She's in Scorpio. So Venus ruling your house of career is in Scorpio. That is her sign of detriment, and that may sometimes suggest that you may be dealing with challenging bosses or some power struggles at work, some trust issues that come from bosses. If you were ever looking for sort of astrological support, I have Venus in Libra products that would really fit your chart, and career matters perfectly because that would be Venus in her domicile ruling your midheaven. So it can provide some improvement. And let me pull a horary chart to see if there's anything that is jumping at me in terms of work situation. But all of my products and readings, if you ever wanted to book a full-sized reading, that is on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. And if you're just joining, I am doing personal readings, mini readings for people watching, answering your questions. You can join by sending a donation via the link down below or the link in the pinned comment. Suggested amount is $35. Once you send it, I will need your date, time, place of birth, and your question. And if you want your information to be private, please email me at Anastasia astrology@gmail.com. So looking at a horary chart. And let me share this so we can look at it. What do you do, Christian? What kind of work? And does your work involve large groups of people, large organizations, community? Are you involved with any of that, with the ruler being Venus in the 11th house? Okay. You work in post-production, film, music industry. So definitely big groups of people. Networking probably is huge, right? It's like who you know, and then finding work through people you know. So I feel like that could be really, really important right now and really powerful. Okay, so what is happening here? In the horary chart, first house is always given to the person asking a question. So since I'm asking it on your behalf, we have this is basically going to be you. So first house is Libra, ruled by Venus. In the 9th house, Venus is in Gemini, which she's kind of neutral in Gemini. 9th house is interesting because there might be some kind of suggestion of travel. Does your job require you to travel ever? Could there be some potential travel or some learning, maybe some maybe even working with foreign people, I wonder. And then what's happening here? So the job would be represented by the 10th house. It is ruled by the moon, and the moon is here in Pisces. The moon is traveling towards the sun and then towards Venus. Sun and Venus. And the sun is ruled by Venus. And it's interesting because the moon is traveling towards the sun, and the sun is sitting in the house of shared resources, other people's money, maybe again, sort of connections with other people and resources that may be coming from other people. The moon is actually first going towards Mercury, and then the sun, and then Venus. So it's almost like there is a few steps that need to happen before you find work. And the moon is about 6 degrees away from Venus. And that could be interpreted as 6 degrees could be timing in terms of like 6 weeks is when you might find work. I do wonder with the whole sextile to Mercury and sextile to the sun. What does Mercury rule here? Mercury rules 11th and 12th. It also rules 9th, and the sun rules doesn't really rule anything in this chart, but the sun sits in the house of career. Yeah, so, since I'm not really, I think because the question here is like, when will you find, or like, will you find work soon? I think there's definitely some sort of steps that need to be taken first, or some maybe emails that need to be sent, connections that need to be explored, and then the moon will make it to Venus, but first it needs to go through Mercury and the sun. And so that could suggest that maybe, again, Mercury rules the house of networking, it rules the 9th house. So maybe connecting to foreign people, reaching out to any mentors, teachers, all of that could be helpful. Can it be like 6 minutes instead of weeks? It could be 6 days. It's 6 time units. And sometimes it's really hard. Like I find it hard to be specific about like 6. It wouldn't be 6 minutes, right? Let's be realistic. but it could be 6 days. Are you interviewing? Is there something that's happening already? To people who are watching, my list is open. If you'd like a reading, I ask for a donation. Suggested amount is 35. There is a link down below and the link in the pinned comment that you can use to send your donation and ask me a question. Could be anything that's burning on your heart, on your mind that you need guidance with. I am happy to answer. Christian says, my last interview was with 2 companies last month, second rounds, then got rejected. Yeah, I think these transits that are coming up to your Venus and to your midheaven could be quite positive and exciting. And so I would, as you mentioned, there is a Mercury trine to midheaven in late May, and there's a Jupiter trine Mercury in late May. And so that could be the time that you hear something, and that's under 6 weeks. But then there's also Jupiter trining your Venus, and that probably might be about the 6 week mark. When did I say that was? Jupiter trine Venus. Yeah, Jupiter is making a lot of good aspects starting from late May. May 29th, trine your Mercury. June 10th, trine your Pluto. June 20th, it will square your midheaven. And that might suggest that there is some kind of your professional path requires adjustment, and it requires some flexibility. And maybe there's a suggestion that the work that comes up, because I'm sort of thinking, like some kind of travel, or maybe some type of job opportunity that you maybe will have to think about, but it's going to be an opportunity. And then as it trines your Venus, the ruler of your 10th house of career, on the 28th of June, that might be when this sort of gets more solid and serious, and sort of you maybe commit to it. Let me know if you have any follow-up questions, but that's what I'm seeing. If you wanted to sort of explore your chart more, you might also look back, Christian, in terms of like what was happening in your life 12 years ago and how things went around that time. Because let me just back up for a second. Yeah, because you are being 32, you are in the 9th house year, and 9th house is it is about travel. It is about learning new things. It is about foreign connections or foreign people. So if 12 years ago when you were 20, what was happening? Were you like meeting any interesting people? Did you start a job that required learning, or did you do anything? I mean, you would have been in college probably, so I don't know if there was a lot of work going on at that point. But maybe there's some type of similarity in terms of connections. I really think it's like who you know right now. And if you reach out to people, and this week could be a really good time to reach out to people, because we are having the Cazimi, Mercury Cazimi, on Thursday morning. And then on Wednesday, even leading up to Wednesday, today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we have Mercury Jupiter sextile, which could be quite lucky. If you're just joining, I am doing chart readings, mini readings. Jump on my list. I ask for a donation. Suggested amount is 35. Once you send the donation, please use the link down below or the link in the chat. Once you send the donation, I will need your date, time, place of birth, and your question. Christian asking, so no new potential interviews May 2026. There are late May, right? Late May could be good. I think you'll find something. I think it's just about do look at your connections, send some emails, reach out to people you know, because with Jupiter in the 7th house until June 30th, it's a sign that people are on your side and people have your best interests at heart. And whatever contracts you sign, and projects you start right now will likely prosper and be beneficial for you. And the 6 weeks thing, maybe it's 6 days, maybe it's what's in between weeks and days. I don't know. I think it's 6 days or 6 weeks. But I'm not the divinity. I'm just the translator of the divinity, right? This is my interpretation of it. 6 more anxiety attacks, LOL. Are you feeling well, like, do you have any memories of what it was like 12 years ago? In 2020, I guess 2014, what was happening in terms of connections, networking, expanding, change? Maybe it's your time to learn a new skill. Maybe it's the time to use this sort of as an opportunity to add some kind of skill to your resume. And I wonder what kind of work do you do in post-production? I used to be a video editor for a while, for quite a long period. You're saying, yes, I was a reckless kid, no school. I see you. I see your placements. Video editing and visual effects. Awesome. That's what I used to do. I used to do video editing, and now I do video editing for my YouTube videos, which is not the same, but still video editing. I feel like it's impossible to completely escape. You're saying I'm educated now, though. Do you know when you went through like interviews, right? And second rounds, you got rejected. Do they tell you why? Do you know what they're looking for? Is there anything that, I'm not saying that you should really like go and learn something new, but there's just sort of that ninth house is making me think of like education and some new skills, or maybe even reaching out to people in education. Maybe you can do some video editing or visual effects for people at your old college, or for people at some kind of college that's nearby. If you're just joining, let me know where you're watching from. I am doing mini readings. The list is open. You can get on the list and ask me any questions your heart desires, your natal chart, karmic purpose, relationships, money, career. We can talk about the transits coming up. We have a couple of big ones. The second half of 2026 is very much game changing. In a sense that we're going to have Jupiter go into Leo. The nodes are going to switch signs and enter Leo and Aquarius, which will be significant for most fixed people. And I'm looking at Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, and Scorpio. It's going to be significant. Christian says, I think I'm just being edged out by experience and fit. You're saying, shouldn't the second house eclipse in my house of money back in February manifest into something like a new job? It could, but it doesn't have to happen on the first eclipse. That was the introduction of the new themes that will be significant for the next couple of years, but it's not necessarily that like every single eclipse is dramatic. It could have been maybe if you look back, maybe that eclipse introduced some new ideas. There's also something to be said about North Node and Pisces in your third house right now, right? Like North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo. In the ninth, maybe there is a pull to start your own business or rethink your schedule or do things somehow differently. Even again, third house is your local environment. It's your local neighborhood. So there may be some opportunities to do work that is more local or connected to neighborhood or connected to your community. And then, yes, from late July, when the nodes shift, North Node goes into Aquarius. That would be similar to 2008, 2009, which I know you would have been really young back then, but maybe something was happening in terms of finances of your parents. Maybe there were some kind of transformations. So I am going to mention again that I am here doing readings. The list is open. If it continues sort of being quiet, I might wrap up early. But if you're watching and you have questions, you'd like guidance, jump on the list, send me a donation. Suggested amount is 35. There is information in the links down below and in the pinned comment in the chat. Once you send that, you can ask me any question about your chart, about your future, about your relationship, and things like that. And yeah, Christian, if you remember what was happening in 2008, 2009, in terms of maybe that could have been the time when you got like a first job or something. You were in 8th grade. Nothing jumps to your mind. You can also think of, we have every 9 years, every like 18 years nodes return, but then every 9 years there's a reversal of the nodes. So 2008, as you are saying, you would have been in 8th grade, so probably not a lot of dramatic was happening. What if we're looking at 2017? 2017, 2018, does that jump at you? Was there anything interesting happening in terms of finances and work and money? The only pressure I was under then was baseball. Do you still play? Was it? I just saw a bunch of like teenage girls being trained by a baseball teacher, baseball trainer. It looked like fun. Looked like they were having fun. It looked like nobody was really feeling under pressure. So ask me questions. You can also ask me general questions. Those are free if you want to know something about your chart, about your placements. But if you want me to look at your chart and give you precise, specific to you individual reading, I ask for a donation. Suggested amount is 35. You can ask a question then. I would need your date, time, place of birth. And if you want your information to be kept private, you can email it to me at anastasia.astrology@gmail.com. Farhal was asking, what should I do with an 8th house Venus, Saturn, and Mars in Aquarius? I wonder if you were born in 1992, because my cousin was born in 92 and she's got Venus, Mars, and Saturn in Aquarius. If you're still here, Farhal, let us know. But that's obviously it's an interesting placement because 8th house is one of the dark houses and you don't necessarily see planets in there really well. And you kind of have to be more aware and more mindful of them. Venus in the 8th could be a sign of someone who like feels really deeply, but in Aquarius, it can come across as being detached and not really expressing the feelings. There could be some propensity for romantic drama and maybe some challenges in that regard. Mars and Saturn could be tricky. It could be tricky, especially in a man's chart. I feel like in a woman's chart, it sometimes shows up in terms of restrictive male figures, but in a man's chart, it may show up as like, at least when young, it could be harder to figure out when to be assertive versus when to pull back. It could be a bit of a push and pull dynamic. But then as you get older, you sort of learn to yield your power like a sword and be really mindful of that. So you guys, I will wrap up pretty soon, I think, unless we have any volunteers who want to ask questions and get a little reading with me. Suggested amount is 35. Send a donation via the link in the description or in the pinned comment. I will need your date, time, place of birth, and your question. Reach out pretty soon, or I will wrap up and I will you'll have to wait until later. Christian says, nope, in 2017, 2018 was in a crazy toxic relationship. There was money flow, waiting tables, but it was going to bad things. Okay. Yeah, that would have been a reverse dynamic with the nodes. So instead of, with what's happening right now with North Node going into your second house, it's more about financial gains and you may be making more, and that being your money and you potentially keeping it, reinvesting it, growing professionally versus, and then like in the 8th house, I think you're going to have to sort of sort through your debts, pay off some debts, and figure out which relationships are not fulfilling. Versus back in 2017, 2018, it was more about relationships and maybe money going towards like other people and getting more involved with other people, and personal finances could have been more about letting things go. Christian says, thanks again for the reading. I always look forward to your monthly videos. You're welcome. Happy to help. Yeah, let me know where you're watching from. If you're just joining, say hello, ask me a question. If you have a general question about your chart, it's a bit quiet today, which is fine, happens sometimes. But you can also get a personal reading, discuss your chart, your love life, your career, your karmic purpose, your challenges. If you want to know how to work with the challenges better, we can talk about transits coming up, about the change in the astro weather that will occur pretty soon. I am here at your service, so ask me a question. Still here for a little bit longer. And then I have been doing these lives pretty often, once a week, every Monday. So if you're not getting a reading today, you can always get one next Monday. But it's an interesting year generally that we're in, with so much change happening and so many planets transitioning into fire and air signs, right? Obviously, we've had Uranus just enter Gemini, which back in the day coincided with a whole ton of revolutions, the wars in the US, the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, the World War II, and the world feels a little bit chaotic, or not a little bit, but definitely feels sort of hectic and unpredictable. And so if you're feeling that way, we can see what good is happening in your life by looking at your chart, or we can see how to cope with it better. So I will probably stay live for another 10 minutes, wrap up around 6 if there's no other volunteers. Ask me questions if you have general questions about, like, what does it mean to have my Mars in the 9th house? If you'd like a reading, if you'd like me to look at your chart, I ask for donations. Suggested amount is $35. Please send it via the links in the description or in the pinned comment. Once you do, I will need your date, time, place of birth, and your question. Question could be anything about transits coming up, what the future holds, what are the challenges, gifts, karmic purpose in your chart, relationship questions. Arun says me. Okay, if you're interested, let me know. Let me know once you send the donation. There are 3 options in the pinned comment. You can definitely use one of those. And I am happy to look at your chart. Once you send the donation, as mentioned, I need your date, time, place of birth, and I need your question as well. So, okay, Afra Arun, I see the question and the birthday information. Do let me know when you send the donation, because I haven't seen it yet. I do ask for a donation as a fair compensation for my knowledge and my time. So please honor my work by sending a donation. Suggested amount is $35. There are links down there, or the links are in the comments. Once you send it, I will happily look at your chart and can answer the question. Okay, Arun, I see the donations. Let me add you to my list. I do ask generally that you prioritize one question. So please let me know what you'd like to talk about in terms of the question. If you are interested in like sort of multiple things, if you want to discuss multiple things, the best way to do it is really to book a reading with me, because this way we can have a proper discussion. Okay, yeah, I see the donation from you, Arun. You're saying you lost your job last November. So would you prefer to talk about, is like career more of a priority? Sorry to hear that you lost your work. Is it okay to share your chart information publicly? I mean, you put it in the comments, so I would assume that I can probably share it, but I would love sort of you to say whether it's okay or not. And if you're watching, also just an FYI, please keep updating and refreshing this live, especially if you're being shown a commercial, so you are watching it live as I'm going through and asking questions. Okay, so you're saying career and health. As mentioned, I do ask you to prioritize one thing for me, because these are shorter readings and I like to stick one thing at a time, one thing per reading. So if you could prioritize what's more important out of those two, because these are two things, I would appreciate that. And you're saying the birthplace is Chennai, Tamil Nadu. So Arun, I'm going to look at career because that seems to be something that you asked about first and mentioned that you lost your work. And if there's time to look at health, we'll look at health as well. But again, as mentioned, these are smaller readings. For full-size readings, multiple questions, I do recommend booking a reading on my website. But if there's time, I can look at both. Where is this Chennai, Tamil Nadu? I don't know if I can find it. What is the country? And is that the name of the city? I see just Chennai. Is that okay, or does it need to be a full sort of thing? And is there a different option for a city? Because I don't know if I can find it, but let me see. Okay, I can't find it. Is there a different big city nearby that I could look up? It seems like it should be able to find it because it's a pretty big city, so I don't know why it's not finding it. Can I put Milapore or Avadi? Do you think that would be? Yeah, I see that it's a city. It's just my app for some reason doesn't want to find it. It kind of makes it more complicated. I don't always understand why it can't see things. Oh, Tamil Nadu is the state. Yeah, it's not, it doesn't want to find anything for me. It's being my app is being tricky. Let me see. Let me try another one. Yeah, if you can give me some other sort of other big cities that are close by that I can pull up, maybe that would help. Sometimes it just doesn't have, there's I think the app I'm using is pretty good, but it doesn't have all the things, which is really something that slows us down at the present moment. Yeah, please give me some other city. Chennai is the biggest city in India. Is there a different way to spell it? Is that maybe the reason? Chennai. I don't know why I can't find it. It's like, is it really the biggest city in India? Oh, Madras. Can I put Madras? Would Madras pop up? There we go. Madras. Problem solved. Woohoo! Okay. So, we're looking at career, and I pulled Madras, and so hopefully that works. I am going to share the chart because you put your information in the comments, so I assume it's okay to share it. And let us see what's going on there. So Arun, I got Libra Sun, Sagittarius Moon, Libra Rising for you. Is that correct? Does that sound familiar? Yeah, so in the future, if you could just, if you could just put like Chennai or Madras, that would be really helpful because I think it feels very sort of, yeah, maybe confused by some of the names, so it's helpful to know different versions of it. And if you're just joining us, I am doing viewers readings. You can join by sending a donation. Suggested amount is 35 to the link down below, link in the pinned comment, and providing your date, time, place of birth, and your question. Okay, so Arun, what's happening with your career? And if we have time, we can look at health. Let us see. So does this look correct? Just double checking. October 10, 83, 6 a.m. Madras, India. So with your chart, so it's interesting because there is a positive transit professionally happening. It started on June 9th, 2025, and it lasts for about a year, of Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, optimism, taking risks in your 10th house of career. And so, if there is something that is not meant to last, thank you so much for pressing all the likes, and hi, Pluto babe. My list is open, FYI, after Arun. So if you wanted to get a reading, I ask for a donation. There's info down in the description, so you can still jump on and get a pretty early reading. So Arun, I think there is a sense that there may be some shifts professionally, but they're meant to be more positive. The ruler of your 10th house of career is the moon in the third house. Have you ever thought about starting your own business? Could there be something along the lines of like starting your own business potentially? I think up until June 30, Jupiter is still in your 10th house of career. And so there may be some positive developments coming through. Let me see if I have any specific dates for you. You are going okay, so there is this interesting thing that's happening right now, and that is Pluto in the 5th house of romance, pleasure, joy, passion, squaring Saturn in your 4th house, and so that could be a tricky transit. That could be one of those transits where structures in your life that felt really permanent suddenly begin to feel less permanent, and there may be this sense that life sort of feels like hard work and you're maybe feeling more tired and the results are not as forthcoming as you would like. There may be more problems, there's maybe higher, like more expectations. Let me just check real quick the exact dates of when this is happening. And Uranus is also squaring your Venus, so there's definitely some like kind of shaky energy. But I think this Pluto Saturn square, I think it's meant to reveal to you what is not working perhaps, and it's also meant to kind of encourage you to examine what is stability for you, what feels stable, what feels significant and important, and maybe figure out. I think there is some opportunity to take risks there and to redefine comfort and security. Like you're born with Saturn in the 2nd house, so you're maybe someone who is generally very serious and stable, and there's a lot of fear about not having enough. There may be sort of this always sense that um, money comes in slowly and you're worried about money going away. And so as Pluto squares your Saturn, and I'm going to look again at the exact dates. So the first one was March 7th this year, and give it like a month or two on each side. March 7th, July 9th, and then January 12th, 2027. I think it's sort of challenging you to allow some of these fears to die, and maybe maybe encouraging you to sort of follow your passions and follow some new creative interests. Pluto Babe says, I'll come on for a reading another time. I'm so broke, unfortunately, until payday next week. No worries. I hope the payday comes and manifests a lot of abundance your way soon. Pluto Babe says Uranus will be transiting my 8th in Gemini. Are you a Scorpio rising? And yes, I do prefer whole sign over Placidus for sure. So Arun, I do think, it is definitely somewhat a shaky time. It will pass. You do have there is a lot of signs though towards like starting a business maybe, or figuring out some kind of way to use your skills to monetize your skills, because Jupiter is in the 10th. It's encouraging you to grow and to expand your life, to teach could be really good, could be really interesting. With your North Node in the 9th house, opportunities to sort of guide and counsel other people. What do you do for work, Arun? And to people who are just tuning in, the list is open after Arun. So if you wanted to jump on, you will be next. I ask for a donation. Suggested amount is 35. Once you send it, I will need your date, time, place of birth, and your question. And questions can be about your natal chart, your gifts, your challenges, your karmic purpose, your love life, your career. We can also talk about the future and what might be coming up for you. So do let me know. And you can also visit anastasiadoesastrology.com for readings, classes, products, and a whole lot of other exciting things. So Arun, do let me know. I'm curious, what do you do? Pluto Babe says, yes, I resonate with whole sign too. Why is your account Pluto Babe? Where is Pluto in your chart? Is it very deeply enmeshed with a lot of placements? So yeah, I think Career. I think up until June 30, there is a lot of opportunities for sort of planting seeds and focusing on slow growth and starting a business, starting some kind of like teaching, counseling, guiding other people could be really good for you, especially with the moon in the third house. There is a moon Uranus conjunction in your chart, which can signify professional shakeups at times. And I think you're someone who will function a lot better if you're more independent or if you have more freedom professionally, more freedom to make your own schedule. You're saying I'm definitely interested in business, doing my MBA now. Okay. Yeah, it could be a good time, and I think your chart really would do quite well if you were to start a business. And health-wise, so right now Saturn has been in your 6th house from March 2023, and it just left now in February 2026. And that is a positive news, but there's still North Node here, and there's still eclipses in Pisces, and there's going to be another eclipse in August. And so that might suggest that health is still something significant and important. And then the ruler of your chart is Venus. She's in her fall in the 12th house. And sometimes having the ruler be in her fall and the sun is on the ascendant. The sun is also in its fall in Libra. I think there's maybe a suggestion here that a lot of health issues can be coming from like anxiety or worries or some kind of like self-defeating tendencies, bad habits that perhaps the North Node in Pisces is revealing. If you were interested in astrological magic, I have Venus in Virgo as a Libra rising, like you. I am ruled by Venus in Virgo in her fall, and that's why I created my magical candles. So Venus in Libra could be really good for you. Sunlight in a jar could be really good for you. Some of my products that are good for vitality and sort of good for energy. And hopefully things will improve. Cooley Hi says, wow, just watched the video of yours today and now catching a live show. Thank you for popping by. Thank you for joining the live. I might wrap up soon, unless there are any other people interested in a reading. Let me know. You can still jump on and get on the list. I ask for a donation. Suggested amount is $35. Once you send the donation, you can ask me any question your heart desires. I ask that you prioritize one question, just because these are shorter readings. And for full-sized readings, you can always visit anastasia.astrology.com. Arun says, so true. Thank you. Yeah, I am a Libra rising ruled by Venus and Virgo. So a lot of it feels like looking in the mirror. The good news is when you have a lot of planets in the 12th house, there is a higher potential in your life to liberate yourself and to find peace, because 12th house planets will encourage you to continuously give up the ego. It's going to always be like, you think you're this way? No. You think you have this? No. There's going to be like, it's really they're your biggest teachers to just learn to kind of, find more peace within yourself and find more comfort and stability within yourself. Pluto Babe says, Scorpio dominant, Pluto is my chart ruler. So you're looking at your chart through a modern lens. I wouldn't look at Pluto and call it a chart ruler for Scorpio, because in traditional astrology, Mars is the chart ruler of Scorpio, and Pluto can be like a co-ruler, but Pluto alone I don't think is enough to sort of call a ruler. And if you want to learn more about astrology and you want to understand your chart and discover how everything blends together to tell a unique story that describes your karmic blueprint, your gifts, your talents, your challenges, I am teaching My natal class begins in September, so you can join us and learn more about your chart. So, Arun, I hope that was helpful. I hope that answered your question. Thank you for participating and for sending a donation. If there is anybody else interested in getting a reading and jumping on my list, do speak now, because I will wrap up pretty soon. So ask me your questions. Ask me what the upcoming Venus ingress into Cancer, Mars ingress into Taurus, Mercury entering Gemini, conjoining Uranus. There's a lot of shifts happening this week. And then in June, July, we're going to have, as mentioned already, Jupiter leaving Cancer, going into Leo. The nodes will change signs, so there's a lot of interesting transits coming up that will be karmic and interesting and powerful. So, last call for readings. And if no volunteers, Cindy JF saying, I'd love to. Awesome. I am perfectly happy. I'm excited to do your reading. The way this works is I ask for a donation. Suggested amount is $35. There is a link down below. There's also a link in the pinned comment in the chat. Actually, did it went away? I feel, oh no, wait, it's still here. Yeah, it's still here. So you can send the donation. Once you do, I will need your date, time, place of birth, and your question. So let me know. The questions could be pretty much anything, from, okay, waiting for you, Cindy. The questions could be pretty much anything. You can ask me about your natal chart, about your transits coming up, your love life, career, money, children, health, all the things. I just ask that you prioritize one question at a time, because these are shorter readings. The best sort of way to talk with me and pick my brain about your chart is to book a reading, and that is at anastasia.astrology.com. On there, you can also see all of my magical astrological creations and things like that. And Cindy, also please let me know whether it's okay to share your information or you want it to be private. So just waiting for Sydney. I think you can just skip it, Cindy. I think there's an option to just skip it. Venmo does that, but then I think it's just somewhere. Oh, there you are. Thank you so much. Yeah, it does just let you it's okay with you skipping it. Okay, so I need your date, time, place of birth, and your question. If you're okay with it being public, just drop it in the chat, and that will also give me a permission to put your chart on my screen. If you want it to be private, I would ask you to email me at anastasia.astrology@gmail.com. I'm also going to turn the light on. Just give me a second, because it's starting to get dark and my video is starting to become very black and white, I think. Okay, Cindy is emailing. Just a second. I want to, forgive me. The top of my head will be with you in just a second. Ta-da, there we are. Okay, so Cindy is emailing. Yeah, if you want, so it's in the description, but it's anastasia.does.astrology@gmail.com. And basically, if you want your information to be kept private, do email me and do say, please keep it private, versus if you're okay with me sharing your chart and showing it publicly, you can just put it in the chat and say it's okay to share. Okay, and I'm going to add Cindy to the list. The list is pretty much only has Cindy on it right now. So if you wanted to jump on and get a pretty immediate reading after Cindy, you can do that. Okay, Cindy's really fast. Awesome. Okay, so you want your information private. Yeah, and let me know your question. And we're born the same year. Ah. Which I'm not going to share publicly, but we are. Okay, got your chart and just need the question. Okay, you're saying my question is about my love life. I just gotten out of a relationship that didn't end great, trying to find out when I could possibly meet someone more long term. Okay, so Cindy, just want to double check that I have your information correct and that you are a Libra sun, Libra moon, and Cancer rising. Is that you? Correct. Okay. So let us just gauge the territory first. So you have Neptune in your 7th house that can suggest certain it's a few things. On one hand, Neptune in the 7th can suggest sort of you being accepting and loving and sort of dreamy. Neptune represents the sense of longing, and so when it's in the 7th house, we may be longing for a perfect connection. There might also be a certain sense of like openness to different kinds of people and a danger of the savior victim dynamics, right? That could be always a bit of a challenge with Neptune in the 7th house, and poor boundaries as well. You really have to be clear about what you seek and who you seek, and communicate everything, communicate what you expect of people so that like they know, and then they should communicate things to you as much as they possibly can. And you're saying, yes, that feels very accurate. It can also be a sign of sort of like meeting a psychic, like not psychic, but like a soulful connection, and being with someone where you're mutually supportive and understanding and compassionate. And that could be great. But I think it's just a question of like figuring it out. And having Venus in Scorpio, right, is another one of those, like seeking really deep passion and wanting things to be like soul merging. Only other Venus in a water sign, and like Pisces or Cancer, will understand how deeply you may feel. The ruler of your 7th house is Saturn in the 6th. And so there is this sort of sense that you're likely attracted to foreign partners. They can be, like foreign, older, different culture, different upbringing. They are likely to be working at the same time, like they're likely to be working in either like a service job or a managerial role or a healing position. And so if we're thinking of, what might be, you're wondering sort of when you could be possibly meeting someone more long term. Let me think for a second, because there are going to be some eclipses in your 7th house. And that is probably going to be very, very big, because we only get eclipses in the 7th or 1st house, always kind of simultaneously 7th and 1st, once every 9 years. And so it will begin to happen not quite super soon, but pretty soon. So actually, about a year from now. So, and that doesn't mean that you're not going to meet anyone. So the first eclipse in Capricorn is July 18th, 2027. And that's like a big deal. It's the eclipse in your relationship house. And then it continues July 2028, January 2029, June 2029. So 20, like second half of 2027 into 2028, 2029 is really big for relationships, and it will be similar to 18, 19 years before then. So the question would be, what was happening in your love life around 2009, 2010, and 11? Because something major might be coming up with those eclipses. Like they're just continuously really big chapters in people's lives. Canon Bryce saying just sent. I don't see the donation from you yet. Maybe it's taking a minute. What did you send it? Which way did you send it? But yes, so that's like a major opportunity, right? It doesn't mean that nothing will happen between now and then. But that could be potentially sort of really big meeting. Like if you meet someone, you are very likely, you can meet someone around the time of like new moon in Capricorn or even full moon in Capricorn, which is coming up in the full moon in Capricorn is June this year. New moon in Capricorn is like either December, January. And then that eclipse in Capricorn is very significant. So I think that's potentially really powerful romantic time. And yeah, do tell me what was 2010, 2009, 10, 11, like what was happening in your love life around that time? Is there a reason why it's taken so long to enter a committed relationship? Cindy is asking. Yes, there are a couple of things. So Venus is in her detriment in Scorpio, and she's ruled by Mars in Libra, and Mars is in its detriment in Libra. And Venus represents your desire nature and what you desire. And Venus, when she's placed in the Mars ruled sign, tends to behave more like Mars. And so, you're maybe attracted to deep connections, and that sometimes brings more strife or challenge in relationships. Venus and Scorpio can suggest that, you're like feeling really deeply, you're all or nothing type of person, likely either you don't care for a person, or if you love them, it can like easily go to sort of being obsessive over someone. But then your Mars in Libra is a little bit like nonchalant and aloof, and Mars in Libra can come across as like sort of passive aggressive. So there's insecurities, but then you're playing it cool, or yeah, like trying to keep peace at all costs, even though deep inside you have all these deep feelings. If you're looking for astrological support, it's funny, it's like a Venus Libra energy, but I have Venus in her fall in my chart, and I understand Venus and Scorpio energy really well, because like I have Venus in Virgo, and it's really hard to relax and just sort of not worry about things. And I think Venus and Scorpio, it's really hard to like just relax and trust people, because you've been hurt before and you may feel like you'll get hurt again. So Venus in Libra will like really work well with your Libra placements. And I have candles and oils, and they can really fit your chart well with your Mars, with your moon, with your sun, and can be very helpful, because that's like a lot more sort of mellow, harmonious, romantic energy. And you're saying, I entered a relationship with someone who was incredibly sweet and treated me well, but wasn't a good fit for me. Do you think they weren't a good fit because it wasn't like intense enough? Did it get too boring? Because Venus and Scorpio might sort of seek these like deep feelings. And if someone is like really vanilla, it might not work well. And you're saying, yeah, the insecurities and playing cool resonates a lot. Yeah, because like Mars in Libra wants to wants to keep peace, and sometimes it can like say things in a way that like you're trying, Mars always would need to express that martial energy and fighting, and it will like it will need to sort of find conflict somehow. And so Mars in Libra, like, it's really important to be aware of like how you deal with frustration, and that you're not doing this thing where you're not saying what you truly mean and you're trying to make the person guess. Like, it's like the more transparent, the better. You're saying, oh, that's interesting. I feel he was very passionate and it was a nice relationship, but he wasn't refined enough for me and he didn't dream big enough. That's a different story. That could be the Saturn in Sagittarius ruling your seventh house. So just real quick, while I'm wrapping up Cindy's reading, if you'd like to get your chart read and if you have questions for me, you can jump on my list. I ask for a donation. Suggested amount is $35. There's a link down below. There's also a link in the comment section. And once you send it, I will need your date, time, place of birth, and your question. Please prioritize a single question for more readings, more face-to-face question-answer things. You can book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. And if you want your info to be kept private, you can send me an email and just say right away up front that you want your info to be kept private. Email is also down below, or it's basically Anastasia Does Astrology, but with periods. Anastasia does astrology at gmail.com. Ashley, I see the donation. Thank you so much. I am adding you to my list. Thank you for your generosity, and thank you everyone else as well. Yeah, Cindy, I would really recommend working with your Venus. And like, I recommend it honestly because I do it myself. Like, I said, we born the same year. We're like a month and a half apart. And like, I'm born with Venus in her fall, and she's given me a lot of hard time in my life and still does, but I'm trying to love her. And the way you love your planet is by being aware of it. And you honor those insecurities by like sort of tending to yourself, right? And so I still do it, even though like I met my partner and I met him after I created some astrological bracelets for myself. And then I made candles and stuff like that. So even though, I have met him, I feel like the insecurities and the Venus and Virgo things still pop up. So every Friday, I do a ritual. I light my Venus and Libra candle. I read a prayer to Venus. I ask her to bless me with the bounty and the goodness and the love and the good times. And you can also do that. You can wear green. You can buy yourself flowers. You can treat yourself to a nice experience and like give yourself the love that you seek from others so that they see that your cup is full and they will want to mimic that. So really recommend my astrological candles and oils. They help me, so I think they will help you. And let me know if you have any follow-up questions. Ashley is next. Ashley, please let me know if, I see your information. Okay, awesome. And you're saying I can show your chart, but without the exact date and location. I can do that for sure. Good catch that you remember that I can do it. Cindy says, I've been doing that more, buying flowers and caring for myself, especially after the breakup. Thank you. You gotta be your own cheerleader. And you're born with Jupiter in Aries, and I'm speaking to you as a fellow Jupiter in Aries. It all starts within. If you're happy, if you're secure, if you're loved, if you love yourself, if you like start every day by, telling yourself how amazing you are, you'll only attract the same kind of energy. So thank you, Cindy, for asking your question. Okay, Ashley, let me pull up your chart. And just do consider visiting anastasiadoesastrology.com for all of my readings, products, and classes. You can also come study with me. The next class, Natal Astrology, begins in September, very soon. I am currently wrapping up a couple more weeks left of my predictive class, and it's been so fun, and everyone has been so supportive of each other. It's like such a good bunch, good group of people. Okay. So Ashley is saying, I have a lot of major transits this year, and I'm just curious to know any advice you have for how to weather the changes with how I relate to others overall, work, friends, and family. Recently, I have felt like people compare themselves to me a lot, and that makes them project their insecurities onto me. I also have a long distance across the country boyfriend who is a foreigner. Okay. So I might not be able to share your chart if I'm looking at transits, because when you show, I haven't figured it out at least yet. When I show transits, it's sort of automatically shows the birthday information. You're welcome, Cindy. Good luck. Keep at it. It's gonna all work out. Every breakup paves the road for that one right and meaningful relationship. Okay. Yeah. So, Ashley, I was saying that I might not be able to share your chart with the transits, but let us see. Because your question is transit related, I might sort of keep the whole thing private. Let me just see if there's a way to not show your birthday info, but I don't think, I think I've looked at this before, and it only does it for, it would only do it for like just general chart. And now I got myself out of the chart that I used to have, and it's confusing. Okay, wait. Multi wheels. That's the one. Okay, I figured it out. I have figured it out. Okay, I also see a donation from Brush. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Thank you guys for the generosity and for sending the donations. Really appreciate. Ashley, I'll be with you in a second. Just going to note this. Kimolu, that's you. Brush is you. Okay, Ashley. So, just to refresh, you have a lot of transits, major transits. You're curious. Any advice for how to weather the changes with how you relate to others overall, work, friends, family? Recently, you're saying you felt like people compare yourself to you a lot, and that makes them project their insecurities onto you. And you also have a boyfriend who's a foreigner. Okay. So, big transits. Let me see. You are, just to check, I've got Aquarius, Sun, Capricorn, Moon, Leo rising. Is that correct? And you are ruled by the Sun in the 7th house. So relationships definitely play big focus in your life. Because the Sun in its fall, there may be some sort of sense of people projecting or not even seeing you correctly. I do love your powerhouse of the 8th house, Venus and Jupiter. Venus is exalted, Jupiter is in its domicile. Do you tend to get a lot of support from other people? Do you get sort of a lot of blessings coming from others? The ruler of your 7th house is Saturn. It's in the 9th. There goes your long distance relationship, and a foreign partner makes a ton of sense. It is your Saturn return, so that's a big deal. It has started already. Mars is in Scorpio. Sorry, I'm just talking myself through it. I'll start making more sense in a second, but um what you're saying depends. What does that mean? Oh, you're saying I feel like money, yes, but not necessarily emotional support. I see that. I can see that with the moon in Capricorn in the sixth house. There might be this sense that you are um, perhaps the one who takes care of a lot of things, and you maybe find yourself in a position of like serving and helping other people. But it's Venus and Jupiter in the eighth should be generally this sort of sign of financial blessings and even good luck through like winning a lottery or getting an inheritance. And let me just put it this way, if family members pass away, like your chart looks like no one's going to fight with you about the inheritance. Like it's likely that it's just gonna go straight to you. You do have Saturn in the ninth house of legal matters, so I wouldn't recommend, obviously, I can't give you legal advice, but your chart looks like legal matters could be more of a burden in your life. Okay, so Saturn return is a big deal, right? It marks the boundary between youth and adulthood, and you're only 27. So your Saturn return sort of starts relatively early. It varies, right? You're born with Saturn very late in Aries, and so your Saturn return is it's not, if you're looking at it by degree, it's not gonna begin until like late 2027. But I am of an opinion that the moment Saturn is in the same sign as your natal sign, it is your Saturn return. And so it's interesting, right? Because you're born with Saturn in the ninth. Saturn in the ninth suggests that you may have grown up with sort of rigid rules and rigid worldviews around you. It could have been religious. Sometimes Saturn in the ninth suggests this very like rigid religious upbringing, or teachers could have been more structured. Like, Saturn in the ninth is not a fun college environment. It's a little bit more like, it feels a little bit burdensome. And part of having Saturn in the ninth and your Saturn return is, of course, unearthing all of that and opening a lot of that up, is having to figure out what you believe and what is true to you. And that, I think, is even more emphasized by the fact that your North Node is in Leo in the first house, right on top of your ascendant. And your South Node is in Aquarius in the seventh house. And so you are someone, even this Venus-Jupiter combination in the eighth house, you're probably deeply, deeply intuitive and really good at understanding people. Having your Sun in the seventh, like you see people, you know what they need. You can be really adaptable with Venus and Jupiter in the eighth and in Pisces. But do you know yourself? Do you feel comfortable with like taking the spotlight? Are you good at like asserting yourself and speaking up for yourself? How are you with conflict, right? You have this powerful Mars in the fourth house of home and family, and you're probably the biggest warrior for your family. But Mars is kind of by sign squaring your nodal axis, and it rules your Saturn. And so part of me wonders, like, maybe the lesson of your Saturn return is learning to deal with conflict and like being careful that you're not, like Saturn and Aries can sometimes be this sort of either conflict avoidance or a tendency to make up for insecurity by like jumping at every single issue, every single fight. And obviously, if I had like a personal conversation with you, we may figure it out a lot in more depth. So you can always visit anastasiadoesastrology.com for a full-sized reading. Saturn return is a good time to get a reading because it's a big transitional period in your life. But there could be a lot of these kind of questions of like, I've grown up believing this in relationships because Saturn rules your seventh house of relationships, in terms of work because it rules your sixth house, in terms of health, in terms of habits. But what am I truly believing? What is a part of my everyday experience? Saturn in the ninth is very much a sign that like you could have inherited a lot of beliefs, and there could be a lot of rigidity. There could be a lot of like even pessimism with Saturn in the ninth that you have to watch out for, because if the ninth house is like what we see in the world, Saturn will see difficult authority figures or competitiveness. And it makes sense that you see people comparing themselves to you, because the ruler of your house of relationships is Saturn in Aries, and Aries is competitive, and so it could be something that you are facing in relationships. And so I think, I think a big part of it would be having to figure out what you believe in, because there's a big kind of nodal reversal period that's coming up your way, where the relationship focus will be very strong to a point of, moving in with your significant other, getting engaged, getting married, commitment of some sorts. And so you will be going through a period of like rebirth and letting go of a lot of things for the sake of relationships. And so as you enter it, I think it's really important to like get in touch with yourself and get in touch with what you believe. Okay, I wasn't looking at the comments. You're saying I had very strict parents for sure and was so stressed out in college. And then you're saying, I never thought of it that way. You are so insightful. Thank you. Makes me happy to hear. So thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, I hope this helps. Let me know if you have any follow-up questions. There's so much really to discuss because of that nodal reversal and Saturn return, but we're only here for like a more limited time. Hi, Adelia Medeiros. Sorry, I'm struggling with your last name. Mahira B. Dan saying send Corgi for 1,000 jewels. Thank you. I'm not sure I know what that means. It's the first time somebody ever sent me a corgi. And I don't know how it works. Generally, just like I'm thankful. Thank you so much for sending that, and I'm happy to answer your question. But I do ask generally that you please use the links down below or the link in the description, because that is more familiar and it's sort of more straightforward payment versus everything else goes through YouTube. We love you, YouTube. Praying to the gods of YouTube. So please, in the future, try to use the links that I provided. Okay, Brush is next. Did you send me, do I have your information? Okay, I'm with you guys. Just, you're saying, I don't know what it means, but it is cute. It is cute. Yeah, neither do I. I don't know what it means. I guess I know that there are things like that on TikTok, but I don't know what that means on YouTube. But I appreciate it. It's pretty cool. Okay, so Kimolu, Brush, are you here? Are you with us? And thank you, Ashley, again. I am happy to help, and thank you for saying that I'm insightful. Really appreciate that. Okay, so okay, so Brush, are you here? Are you watching? I think I have your information. I think I do. Um, Let me know if you are here live, and please keep refreshing the live, especially if you're just joining or if you see a commercial, because there are delays if you get shown a commercial. Sometimes then everything gets pushed back and you're watching me not in real life, and I can't. It's not the same experience if we are delayed, obviously. And I am going to wrap up soon, you guys, just FYI. So if anybody else wants to get on the list, last call, because I usually try to stay live for an hour to 2 hours, and it's getting to be 2 hours. So just sort of last call before the list officially closes. And waiting for Brush to say hello. Hopefully you're still here. And then Mahira, if you have a question, also let me know. For the corgi, thank you for sending the corgi. Okay. So Brush is asking what habits or pursuits will help me in career and creative pursuits at this time. I hope you're with us, and if not, I will still answer your question. I'll just take a timestamp, so you know when your reading is. Okay. So I'm not going to share the chart just because I don't know if you're watching. I don't know if you're okay with me sharing it or not. Oh, Mahira Michelle, thank you so much. I appreciate the PayPal as well. So now I have a corgi and a PayPal. Oh my God. Okay, I am going to close the list. Thank you, everyone. So we have 2 people. Pluto Babe, I see the comments. I'm not sure what that means. I don't know, shouldn't it pop up at the top of the chat? I don't understand how these jewels and things work. It is confusing to me. Okay, so Brush, if you're live, do share, do let me know. Michelle. Okay, so it's Brush and Michelle, and the list is closed as of after these guys, after you guys. I will wrap up. And so I need, for Michelle, I need your date, time, place of birth if you haven't sent it yet, and the question. And if it's okay to share, please let me know that it's okay to share your chart. If you want it to stay private, you can email me at anastasia.astrology@gmail.com and specify that you want it to be private. And if you already put it in the chat, don't worry about it. I'll see it in a second. I'm just sort of updating my info. Oh, you guys are so cute. I got a laughing disco for 250 jewels. Thank you. Just FYI, so for the readings, I do ask for you to send the donation via my links, just because this is a more straightforward way. I don't fully understand how jewels work. And like as mentioned, the list is closed, so I'm not really taking any new people at the moment, but I do appreciate it. I appreciate you guys sending it. Oh, okay. Michelle, you're saying you send it in the PayPal note. Great. Okay. So I am going to do Brash's reading and then Michelle. And so I am just going to real quick take a note. Let me just see that I am paying attention to what I'm doing. Reading is at, because I don't know if Brush is with us. She's not saying anything. Okay, so the question was, what habits will help me in career and creative pursuits at this time? Let us see. I'm just going to double check that I have the chart information correct. I got Pisces, Sun, Taurus, Moon, Gemini, Rising. And I'm also going to real quick pull up the transit chart just to check that I have everything updated. So, okay. So what you're going through right now is Uranus has just entered your first house. It is opposing your Pluto in the seventh house, which is interesting and quite a big deal. I think there is this sort of sense of having to examine any fears, any self-doubt, maybe any worries about what people might think of you, and liberate yourself from it. So Uranus in the first is a 7-year period of reinvention. You may not always know the right direction you're going into, but the more fearless, the more flexible, the more open-minded you are, the better. Uranus in Gemini really loves intellectual pursuits, working with AI, working with technology, working online. It may encourage you to take up some kind of unique passion. It is going to trine your Venus in a little bit, and Pluto is also in your Venus. So there is this sort of like sense of intense interest. You may already know them. You may be still discovering them. You're gonna experience changes in terms of your interests, your passions, but also even physical changes in terms of your style and your body. And so the more flexible you are, the better. The more open-minded you are, the better. The good news is that you already have 1, 2, 3, 4 planets plus your ascendant and mutable signs. So there is likely quite naturally a good amount of flexibility to you. I think being comfortable with experimentation and like learning from experiments that you're doing on your appearance in terms of your passions and interests, and noting the results of those experiences, but not feeling like you have to stick to something and that you have to have everything figured out. Right now is a really good time financially for you until June 30, and take kind of be really mindful of that, right? It could be very useful to like maximize this time and maybe make some investments and plant some seeds. North Node is also in your 10th house of career, encouraging you to experiment and explore. It's about to shift into your 9th house and go into Aquarius. Pluto is in Aquarius. I feel like there is both sort of energy of experimentation and maybe looking at some futuristic careers, astrology, AI, teaching, maybe something that involves travel. And then on the other hand, there is this strong focus on community and doing work that serves community, that serves the world at large. and can be helpful to others. So if you're operating from this perspective of being truthful to yourself, you may find yourself starting like trends at this point. There may be some really like unique ways of self-expression where you're just playing around and messing around that stick, and people decide to sort of follow you and take something that you're just doing playfully as the next trend, the next big deal. Brush, if you have joined us, let me know if you have any follow-up questions. What habits can help you in career? Another thing I would suggest, especially with South Node and Virgo, maybe try to listen less to the voice of inner critic, especially if you had family members that were maybe a little bit critical of you, family members that doubted you, family members that wanted you to be perfect. There may also be this sort of interesting opportunity to shed that and let that go. And like, again, it's kind of like, be playful, allow yourself to not know, allow yourself to experiment and not have all the things figured out. I am just gonna real quick send Brush a message via Venmo to let her know where her reading is. And then Michelle, you're next, so just bear it with me for a second. Yeah, okay, so let me see. Habits or pursuits can help me in career creativity. I think that probably answers it. I think that's the main things that I'm seeing. As mentioned, for everyone, if you have personal questions, if you have more questions, you want to keep talking about things, do book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Okay, Michelle, is it okay to wait? I feel like I keep asking you the same question. So you said private, and you send your information in. Okay. So Michelle. I like that you're embracing the YouTube corgis and stuff, and you are an Aquarius sun, so that makes sense. Pioneer, being like, why not try this thing? And my Virgo sun is being like, what is this? I don't understand. Being like, I need to know it better before I commit to it. Where is the data? Show me the data. And you're being an Aquarius. You're like, this is fun. Let's give it a try. Corgi. Okay. So Michelle, I have Aquarius sun, Aries moon, Libra rising. Is that you? Does that describe your placements? So Michelle, I hope you're here. Maybe we're just delayed. So you're saying, my question is, what is my next transition? I feel like you're saying my husband is a Virgo. Okay, you're saying, I feel like I'm shifting into something else and really wanting to retire early, not sure of my karmic purpose. What is my next transition? Shifting into something else, wanting to retire early, not sure of my karmic purpose. Okay. So let me just pull up your transits real quick. What was happening in your life, Michelle, around the time of your first Saturn return? So you're currently going through your second Saturn return. The first one would have happened between 96 and early 99. And right now, this is the second one. And the first one represents this sort of period of transition from young adult into adulthood, right? It's sort of the homeowner stage where you get married. Maybe you got married around 96, from 96 into 99. It's like this sort of, you get married, you start a family, you begin working full time, and so now is your second Saturn return, and the fact that you're thinking about retiring early makes a lot of sense, because second Saturn return is this time when you're like, okay, I've worked really hard, I've broken my back over these things, I've been there, done that, I'm ready for something new. And so what was the new thing that you were starting back around like 96, 97, 98, 99? You're saying your mom had just died. Sorry about that. Or I guess you mean she died back between like 96, 99? But like what else was going on in terms of relationships, in terms of like work life, any sort of serious commitments professionally, personally, that you maybe have been making? So second Saturn return brings up it brings up Saturn return questions of personal big transitions, and it also brings up questions of Saturn and Aries in the seventh house. It may reveal and show you which contracts, which agreements, which obligations feel heavy and burdensome and not worth it anymore. So if you have a job that feels like you're not respected enough or not rewarded enough, or you just feel like you've been doing it for too long and it's not challenging enough anymore, this could be the time when you're sort of looking for the next chapter of your life. Jupiter in the 10th until June 30th really encourages you to open yourself up to teaching, to guiding, to maybe even learning. There could be some new chapter in terms of taking everything you've learned and now sharing it with other people. Maybe now being a mentor, a guide, a teacher, right? Like if you spend 30 years working actively, maybe there is a time to like take more of a step in terms of sharing your wisdom. That could be what second Saturn return would be about. You're also saying, okay, you're saying your mom passed away in May 97. You switched from Christianity to spirituality, and you met your husband too. Met him in 98, got married in 2000. Yeah, that's interesting. So switching religions, right? Now you're maybe going through, like if you discovered spirituality around that time, could it be maybe time to, I don't know, study astrology? If you're interested, I am teaching in September. Maybe you already study astrology, but there could be some opportunity to, again, sort of transition, right, into guiding people. Pluto is in your 5th house. Jupiter is going into your 11th. South Node is going into your 11th. North Node is going into your 5th house. There's going to be a lot of focus on the 5th and 11th axis, while Jupiter will be encouraging you to expand your network and maybe venture on social media. There's also going to be this kind of shift in priority from doing things that others expect of you or presenting a certain image to people to doing things that you like, to doing things that make you happy. North Node going into the 5th. We've had this back in 2008, 2009. What was that like for you? Were there any changes in friendships? Were there any new passions that you've discovered, perhaps? Yeah, it could be this sort of interesting time to commit to your passions instead of doing things for others. Maybe your children are growing up, if you have children, maybe you've established yourself professionally and you can't afford to take that leap. So I think what I'm seeing in terms of the next chapter in your life could be about redefining your contracts with other people. It could be about letting go of some agreements, relationships that feel difficult and burdensome. And it is also likely to be about tapping, it could be about tapping into your Aquarian energy, into your like pioneering, open-minded, creative, spiritual self, and sort of exploring that portion of yourself more. Brush, I did do your reading. So are you Kimolo? Are you Brush? I think I sent you a Venmo. I did it. It's at about an hour 15-minute mark. If you watch the replay, it's going to be there. I don't know if you can watch the replay as I'm still live, but your reading is in the books. So you'll just have to like go back. Yeah, Michelle, so I think in terms of like the next chapter and the transition, there's sort of similarity to 2008, 2009. There's similarity to 96, 97, 98, early 99. There's maybe even some similarity to 2013, 2001, 2002. There's both an opportunity to grow, but I think it's kind of about like letting go of people pleasing on some level, or like letting go of worrying too much of other people, and like allowing your Aquarian energy shine. You're saying I have about 4 years left to work, but that all aligns with how I've been feeling. I need to learn and expand and be creative. Yeah, maybe you can perhaps start doing things as you're finishing up work. And maybe you retire early if the next thing gets you excited, and maybe the next thing comes about and takes you. I mean, I don't know how it works if you like have to finish 4 years for pension or something, because I'm working for myself, it's very different, and very much I don't know what I'm doing half the time, and half the time, ooh, it's so exciting, and half the time I think it's time to expand your vision of things and follow sort of your bliss in that regard, and allow yourself to like play and experiment, especially with Uranus in your ninth, right? There may be these enlightening experiences through learning astrology, learning Reiki, learning tarot, through travel, through doing yoga, meditation. There's a lot of possibilities. You're saying I'm well established at work. I'm tired of routine though. Thank you. Big shift coming. It feels like being more myself and self-expression. Yes. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today, for asking your questions. Thank you for sending donations and your generosity and support of me. Thank you for corgis and other things. Michelle, as far as karmic purpose goes, it's your North Node in the 7th house. I think suggests that there's a lot of focus on like taking risks and finding independence and building relationships that allow for independence. I'm happy to talk about it in more depth. There is a lot to discuss. There's a lot of interesting placements in your chart. If you wanted to book a reading, that's the best way. So thank you again. Visit my website. Check out all of my candles, readings, offerings. I appreciate you guys. Oh, you're already a Reiki master. Maybe it's time to put that to, like, maybe it's time to go full speed ahead with it. Yes. Thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, morning, night, wherever you're watching it. And I will see you soon. Thank you for your support. Bye.